Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Sorry I took so long on posting part 2 of learning English for beginners, right, but I'm back. Okay, today we're going to be talking about arranging sentences, right? How do you arrange sentences so they make sense, right? So we're going to be using the SVO pattern, right? The SVO pattern is basically the subject, the verb, and the object pattern, right? So we're going to start off with the subject. What is a subject? A subject is a noun, right? It's a pronoun that does the action. For example, the boy is running. Okay. In this instance, the noun is the boy because he is the subject, right? And then the verb, when coming to the verb is the action word, right? In this sentence, so running in this instance will be the verb, right? And then we come to the object, right? The object is a noun or pronoun that receives the action, right? For example, the ball hit the tree, right? So the tree in this instance will be the object, right? And then there are 4 types of sentence structure. How you structure sentences. There are 4 types, right? So for the first one is simple sentences. The second one is compound sentences. And the third one is complex sentences, right? Don't forget, always have your notebook so you can jot down whatever I say. All right. Okay, we're going to start with simple sentences. Simple sentences, these are sentences that have a single clause, only one clause, right? They have one subject and one verb, right? For example, birds fly. The birds will be the subject and the fly will be the verb, right? And another example, they went to the beach, right? So they, the word they, that's the subject. And then went is the verb because it's an action word, went, right? And coming to compound sentences, they have 2 or more clauses, right? And they're usually joined by a comma, the word and, but, or so. Okay, so those have 2 or more clauses, right? Compound sentences. For example, the sun is shining, comma, and the birds are singing. So this sentence has a comma and the word and. So that is 2 clauses, right? The sun is shining, comma, and the birds are singing, right? And another sentence, another example we can use, we can say, we can go to the store, but we must be quick, right? We must go to the store, but we must be quick. So it's joined by the word but, right? Okay, things to remember when coming to compound sentences. Each clause must have a subject and a verb. That's so important. Each clause must have a subject and a verb. Each clause must be able to form a complete sentence on its own. So the sentence must make sense on its own. Right. You may ask, what is a clause? A clause is 2 ideas when combined make a sentence. So it's 2 ideas. When they are joined together, they make a sentence. Right. For example, the sun is shining. First clause is the sun is shining, right? And the second clause is the birds are singing. That's the second clause. The first one, the sun is shining. That's the first clause, the first sentence. And then the second clause or sentence, the birds are singing. Right. Remember, it must make sense. You cannot just take any words and put them together. They must make sense. Right. Okay. Then come into complex sentences, right? That's the third one. Complex sentences. Complex sentences. These sentences have one independent clause and one dependent clause, right? One independent clause and one dependent clause, right? This means that one thought or idea can stand alone and the other idea can't stand alone, right? Usually they are joined together by conjunctions. Conjunctions are words such as because, although, when. Those are called conjunctions, right? Independent clause can stand alone. It has a subject and a verb. That's an independent clause. It has a subject and a verb, right? For example, the game was cancelled. In this instance, the game, that's the independent clause, right? It cannot, that's the independent clause. It can stand alone. The game, that's the subject, the game was cancelled, right? Then the dependent clause cannot stand alone. For example, because the rain was heavy. That's not a complete sentence. It cannot stand alone. Okay, this sentence doesn't make sense and needs another clause to make sense. Because the rain was heavy, it does not make sense. It needs another clause for it to make sense. For example, the game was cancelled because the rain was heavy. So there are two clauses. The one is independent. That's the game was cancelled. That can stand alone. That sentence can stand alone, right? Because the rain was heavy. That's an dependent clause. It cannot stand alone. It does not make sense. It needs another clause, another sentence to make sense. So the game was cancelled because the rain was heavy. So it's independent clause plus dependent clause. Okay, guys, that's enough for today. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, share. Please comment. I'll answer all your questions as I can. Thank you. Bye.